Hi guys, so today's book review is on Gillian Flynn's Gone Girl. Um, this book is something else. What I will say is that I like to look at reviews before I get into things. So I went on Amazon and I looked at the reviews for this book. Well, by the time I looked at the reviews on the book, I was already like a couple chapters in. And so, based on what I was reading versus what the reviews were saying, I was kind of like, that's wild. But anyways, the reviews were basically saying that the book is crazy. It's wild. The people in the book are wild. And by the time I finished the book, I concur. Um, Gone Girl is, for one, a great novel, despite what the reviews say. Um, it's a great read. As soon as I started reading the book, I was entirely engaged. I didn't put it down. It's the type of book that you take to the bathroom with you to get a couple chapters in while you're doing the do on the toilet. It's just that good, and this book is very well written. This is my first book by Flynn. Um, but reading this book makes me want to read her other novels, not because of the plot in this one or because I think it'll be like similar, but just the way that she writes. Like, I think that she is a true artist, in a sense, very well versed, um, great vocabulary. Like, I marked this book up a lot with highlights and underlines just because there were like a lot of words that I didn't know, and it's not because it's a difficult read. It's when you're a writer, I feel like you need to express to your audience like exactly what you mean, and it's a lot of people's vocabulary is very limited. So I think it was beneficial in that sense. Like, it increases your vocabulary, it keeps you engaged. It's almost 400 pages. Um, but also, it's split up into two sections. The first section is by one character via diary entry, and then the second half is the second character's perspective, and still some diary entries. But basically, you get two pieces of the puzzle, and then in the end, it like all comes together. So, this book is basically about a married couple, Amy Dunn and Nick Dunn. They're a young white couple, and they're having marital issues. And so, Amy disappears, the wife disappears, and Nick is framed for her disappearance, and they start thinking that he killed her. So the first half of the book, when I mentioned that it was diary entries, it's from Amy's perspective, and she's painting this picture of herself, um, as a young woman that is so dedicated to her husband. She wants to be a cool, laid back wife, and she's doing all that she can to satisfy her husband and make him happy, and putting herself on the back burner and just trying to be cool about things and fix the marriage. And then it gets to the second half of the book, where it's revealed that the first half of the book was all a lie. And when I tell you, I felt so mind fucked from that, because you really sympathize with this character. You're like, I get you, girl. I know what you've been through. You try to please your man, try to make him happy. And sometimes life is just, people grow and they change. So when someone changes, or when they're not who you think that they are, it's hard to please that new person, in a sense. So you sympathize with this character, the way that she's writing. She's educated, she lost her job, she had to move to a new city. It all engages you to put yourself in her shoes. And then when it gets to the second half, you just find out like this bitch is really psycho. Like, she wrote, y'all, she faked a diary of a 7 year span to make it seem like she was this person that she was not, to frame her husband for her death, or for her murder. And so, in the end, they still end up being together throughout all the, you know, police searches and arrest and deaths, and they're killing people and infidelity. This book has a lot of twists and turns, and it really keeps you on your toes. Like as soon as you think that you know something, or it's like the author lays down puzzle pieces for you to assume what's going to happen next, and you're just totally wrong because you're assuming and you don't know shit because you haven't read the book until you finished it. But like you would think that you know what's going to happen next based on the personalities of the characters, and but it's just, you know, it's like a maze, but it all adds up. um I was always just like, oh my gosh, like after every chapter, like, yo, that's crazy, like, oh my gosh. And I will say, I don't think that there was ever a dull moment in here. Like, you know how like some long stories have like a plot build where sometimes it's a little dry and you're just trying to get to the next chapter in the book. Like, this was a true page turner. I finished this in like a week, and that's with me working full time, having a kid, and literally just making that time because I wanted to finish the book to do so. Like I said, it's a toilet read. I definitely took this to the bathroom with me. But yeah, so Amy sends Nick on this treasure hunt because that's what they do every anniversary. She sends him on the treasure hunt. Basically like little riddles to make him remember like where they had their first kiss or where was their third date at. But in the end, he'll get like his anniversary gift. It's like a little game she likes to play, and it frustrates Nick because it's like, you're basically making me prove that I'm not shit, and I don't remember where our third date was. Um, so you're making me feel like crap when you can just give me the gift or whatever. But so for their fifth anniversary, she kind of frames him for her murder, and this time he solves the entire riddle. Every year, she got to give him the answers. He can't solve anything, but he solves it this time, and so Amy comes back, and she's like convinced that they're supposed to be together because he solves the riddle, and she's convinced that yes, she's crazy and she had to do what was necessary to save her marriage. Um, her logic is that yes, I tried to frame you for my murder, but nobody knows you better than me, and you're basically the same way. And the fact that you can accept, you know, me killing somebody or me trying to frame you or me basically going out of my way to prove, you know, that you love me, we're supposed to be together. And when she comes back, they're in this heated argument, and he's like on the verge of like choking her out. But he doesn't kill her because he realizes that he wouldn't be anybody else without Amy, that Amy real life is his soulmate, and that without her he wouldn't feel nothing with nobody else. You know, they don't make him feel complete as she does. Yes, she drives him crazy, but nobody else can turn that switch on and off. Like, nobody else makes him feel that alive. Nobody else would set up a whole treasure hunt for him to, you know, find it, like, go out of their way to do that because you mean that much to somebody. That's why he stays with her crazy ass, because in the heat of the moment, when she's like ticking him off, it snaps like, wow, this bitch really killed somebody for me. Yeah, she crazy, and she framed me for murder and almost got me in jail. but it was all because I cheated on her. And nobody else was going to do that. So it's a really like twisted love story. It's fucked up. It is. But you know what? I get it. I'm not saying I'm not saying that that's cool or that's what people should do, because it's really toxic and it's unhealthy. But I understand how they got to that mentality. Um this book is not for everybody. This book is for people that are open-minded, um, that likes a little bit of drama and entertainment, that like a little bit of surprise. It's not your typical love story. It's definitely light. It's definitely not a Cinderella type of story. It's pretty fucked up. But one thing I do like about it is that it feels like it could be anybody. And that's the scary part of it all, is that it really could be anybody. You think that you know your partner, but maybe they're putting on this front because they want to please you, or because, you know, they want you to love them for who they are, but they have to put on this fake face because they don't think that you really would love them for who they really are. Like it's really hard. This book made me realize that it's really hard for a lot of people to be themselves, and so many people are afraid of being themselves, um, and fear that somebody won't accept them. Uh, this book speaks a lot of volumes about self acceptance. You know, loving yourself. You know, you don't have to be somebody else for somebody to love you. And when you are trying to be somebody else for somebody to love you, it's it's gonna get really bad and chaotic, because you're living under a mask, and you want things from your partner that they can't give to you because they're not the you that they should be giving it to, if that makes sense. Um, but it's a very, you can definitely get something out of this book if you if you just like put away the drama of it and just understand the whole concept. And it makes me wonder about Gillian Flynn. Like, where does your mind have to be to even like make this kind of novel? And I think that's what makes her a really great writer, because they say creative geniuses are crazy, and you can't really be creative until you like lose it a little bit. um and that's what makes me think that, like, for her to write from all these different perspectives, to make a plot, to plan, like to do research, um and then the book turns out like really good because it's from the perspective of two writers. It's a writer writing about two writers, writing in different I guess perspectives. um so I think that this was a great book. If I didn't have so many books to catch up on, I definitely would read this again. I really enjoyed this book, and it makes me want to read um all of her other novels. Like I said, this is my first time reading any of Gillian Flynn's book. I don't know anything about her. Um, I don't know not a thing about this woman. But now that I read this one, I definitely have to see what else she got going, because this was good. So yeah, I hope you guys read it. Of course, I would love to know what you thought about it. And yep, you can leave a comment and just let me know what you thought about this book. All right.